Hello and welcome. I'm Kim, Kinjo, and I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. And with me is Darlene Weiss, functional medicine practitioner. And we will be discussing two powerful healing traditions, Ayurveda and functional medicine. And they come from different places, but they're both very powerful, especially when they are combined.
So, the synergy between functional medicine and Ayurveda is uncanny. What's amazing is functional medicine is this modern day approach to some science backed information, but Ayurveda has this depth of ancient wisdom.
Ayurveda sees all of life through the lens of the elements, which are ether, air, fire, water, and earth. And these elements are really just metaphors. It's more about the qualities that they represent. So, therefore, Ayurveda views everything through the lens of the qualities. And through these qualities, we can see where there is balance or there is imbalance. And when we see that there is imbalance, certain qualities will come forward, and we know how to decipher that, whether it's emotionally, mentally, or physically, and then we can balance that with the opposite qualities.
And in functional medicine, our elements are kind of similar in that we're looking at food and diet, the way people do move, if they exercise, their activity level, their emotional responses and awareness and interrelationships and dynamics, as well as how they sleep and how they manage their stress levels.
So, when I'm talking about qualities, it's descriptive words that have an opposite, like light or heavy, or moist or dry, or stagnant or mobile. And when we're treating an imbalance and we're bringing in an opposite quality to create balance, that could be in the form of herbs, they all have energetics, or foods, or drinks, or um, in Ayurveda, we treat with the five senses, the five sense therapies. So every sense has qualities that we can treat with, whether through the eyes, it's color therapy, and colors have their qualities, or through aromatherapy, um, foods, of course, the types of sounds we're listening to, whether it's bird song or listening to the news, for example, and the sense of touch with putting different qualities of oils or herbs onto the skin through self massage.
And in functional medicine, looking at important things like leaky gut, nutrient deficiencies, hormonal imbalance, figuring out how to better manage stress or cortisol levels, as well as how to minimize exposure to toxins or heavy metals or plastics or whatever else is the latest and greatest of things to stay away from. Our world is changing a lot, so it's keeping current with what's modern as well as embracing what's been done for generations.
And even though Ayurveda is an ancient science, over 5,000 years old, it seems like it's needed more today than ever. For example, most of us have an imbalance of what we would say air and ether, and they have the light, dry, cold, rough, mobile qualities. And we would call that vata in Ayurveda. And these vata imbalances, for example, if we were looking at the gut and the digestion, that could show up as constipation or alternating constipation and diarrhea, or gas, bloating, um, a hunger level that's variable. Sometimes you're hungry, sometimes you're not, so we forget to eat. And this vata imbalance, which has all these light, dry, mobile, cold qualities, we would bring in opposite qualities and having somebody be very still and work on being grounded, and having the foods have those opposite qualities of um, warm, moist, cooked foods, and different herbs that bring that warmth and stability into the system and the mind.
And you might find just by looking at what this is in Ayurvedic foundation, a lot of it rings true too for a functional medicine approach. Other ideas that come to mind may be how someone is breathing, how they're internalizing their internal critic, you know. And for example, we all know that when a dog gets scared, it might tuck its tail between its legs. And if a human kind of does that in its structure, you know, it's less likely that we're going to be regular in our bowel movement. So even little nuances in lifestyle medicine, I feel like are just so profoundly important and can be a game changer.
I had mentioned herbs, and yet that is an adjunct therapy in Ayurveda. Herbs are employed a lot, and certain herbal formulas are created for sure. But the thrust of Ayurvedic care would be what we would call dinacharya, or our daily routine. And this is really stepping onto a path of self care and self love, and making these self care routines a habit, to where every day we are doing these things that help to keep us in balance.
And I'm sure I can mention some of the latest on YouTube that have a very functional medicine based approach. They're throwing words around like biohacking and you know, maximizing how to get sleep and using uh, cold uh,
Water
water
therapy.
and heat, different modalities like that. It's all really exciting because it really integrates so many ideas. So the future of healthcare is really taking from all of these different dogmas and sussing through on an individual level what's working and what's not, where we all might be having a blind spot. But when you choose to work with a practitioner, a good practitioner is going to notice that blind spot, and if not directly pointed out to you, it might be more implicit.
So we see the way of the future being integration and combining the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, for example, with the current modern functional medicine ways, and how beautifully they work together. And it's not that someone has to choose one or another anymore. It's really coming together. And that's where the healing can very much be magical.
So thank you for taking on this journey with us. We do hope that you find the right support in your healing journey and create the health that you desire. It can be yours. And we're excited to keep building this bridge with you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
See you next time. To your health.